What's up guys? My name is Gino Martina and today I'll be making a tutorial on how to make and assemble a planter made from Ekoduro material. Ekoduro is a product made from waste materials from plastic, which makes it a fun and eco-friendly option to make different products. As you can see over here, I already have made one of these planters in small and in medium size. And today we're going to basically replicate and take you through the steps on how to make this planter. First things first, let's take a look at all the different things, materials and tools that we're going to be needing for today's project. First of all, we got our Ekoduro material, which comes in a 4-inch and also in a 6-inch size. We're going to be using both and cutting them in pieces so that we can assemble our final planter. Then we got our tools over here. We got our Makita drill. I'm using a concrete drill bit, which is a stronger drill bit to basically pre-drill holes before you screw them together. Ekoduro is a very tough material. That's why you need tough saws and tools to be able to cut through them. To drill through them, like I said before, we'll be using a concrete drill, which is actually made to drill through concrete with rebar. But we'll be using this to drill holes through the Ekoduro. Then we got our hammer drill to screw all the screws inside. We also got our nail gun connected to our air pressure compressor. We'll be using that to also connect the pieces together. And then we'll be using screws. In this case, I'm using 8 x 1.5 inch premium exterior wood screws. Then maybe the most important thing is going to be our miter saw. This miter saw is a 12-inch blade miter saw. It's a very, very beautiful machine, which makes it very easy to work with Ekoduro. On this machine, I have a Makita saw blade with 60 teeth. Very important that you use this one, because otherwise it's going to be very tough cutting through the material. It is a 10-inch blade on a 12-inch blade miter saw, but that shouldn't be a problem. The only thing I did here was I made sure to put some extra wood blocks so that I can make clean cuts through the material. Basically not be limited by the length of the blade. One of the more important things that we're going to be needing today is protection gear. First of all, for my nose and mouth protection, I'm using my safety mask. For ear protection, I'm using these guys. And then of course, I'm also using glasses to protect my eyes. Other than that, we're also going to need a measuring tape to measure out all of our cutouts. This is a measuring tape in centimeters. Then I'm also using this metal drill bit to basically mark out sections. As the plastic is a tough material, it is a black color, so I like to make lines like you can see over here using a sharp metal edge. Alright guys, so the first cutouts that we're going to be making is a cutout of the 6-inch material. Over here I've already made a 45-degree angle cutout, and we're basically going to make 8 boards with this 45-degree angle to make squares. Now for that, we are gonna need to adjust our miter saw on a 45-degree angle. So I'll do that right now. When I'm cutting through the Ekoduro material, I'm doing this by cutting back and forth. Going back and forth a couple times ensures that the material doesn't melt and that I get nice and clean cutouts. Alright guys, I just finished making all of the cutouts. As you can see over here, I got 8 pieces cut out on a 45-degree angle, 30 centimeters on each side. Over here, I got 6 pieces of 26 centimeters and 2 smaller pieces of 22 centimeters. Now, let's start the assembly. We're going to be making 3 components first. Basically, we're making 3 squares. As you guys know already, we made these cutouts before on a 45-degree angle shot. And the idea is that we're going to bring them together like this using our nail gun. So for the nails, I'm using firm steel nails, which are 125 by 105 by 30 millimeters. These nails are ideal for tagging the Ekoduro material, as the Ekoduro is 1 inch, which is about 2 centimeters thick. So you don't really need long nails to connect them together. So we just finished making 1 square, tagged them on each end so that it's nice and strong. And now I'm going to continue on the second one. All right, so we have just assembled these two squares, so we're 2/3 of the way. Now we only have to assemble this guy into a square and then put it all together. So to assemble the next square, I'm basically gonna use these exterior wood screws, 8x2 inch. And I'm doing that without pre-drilling any holes. And that's the fun thing about Ekoduro. It's plastic, so you can just go ahead and screw your screws right through the material and it will stay nice and sturdy. All right, so now that we have our 3 parts assembled, I'm gonna show you how we're gonna connect them together. Basically, this form is gonna fit inside of these 2 squares, like this. And that's gonna kind of ensure that we have this nice smooth line in between. And from there on, we're gonna basically connect them all together. We got these extra parts that we cut out first. Before we're gonna connect all the different parts together, I wanna place this guy over here on the inside. And then I'm just gonna grab another one and just check over here and see if everything is nice and flush. This is gonna be our bottom or your top, depending if you're gonna use it as a planter or if you're gonna use it as a small table. So I know now that this is nice and flush, then I can go ahead and screw this guy together. And for that, I'm gonna be using the smaller screws, which are my 8x1.5 inch. All right, so as you can see, I made 3 cutouts. One is a little bit thinner than the other. That's why I absolutely love this miter. You can also cut in lengths instead of just cutting in wide angles. So when I put these together, you'll see that they fit nice and flush. And I decided to leave a small gap in between because it is a planter after all. If there's a plant going in here, there is also, it's also necessary to have drainage so that the water can seep through the bottom edge. Before I'm gonna go ahead and attach these 3 guys on the bottom, I wanna make sure that my other parts are fully assembled. So what I'm gonna do is I'm basically gonna use this 4-inch blocks and put them in between the gaps like this on the other side. And then I'll also do one on top. That way I can ensure that there is a nice straight edge going all around the planter while I put in the screws. Now, there's also a specific reason why I left out the bottom is purely because of accessibility. While I'm screwing in these screws in the middle area, I want to make sure that I can reach. And from this point, I can reach pretty easily. Make sure everything is nice and tight. All right, for this segment, I'm using 3 screws, which should be about enough to keep everything nice and tight. Now I'm basically gonna repeat this and make sure that all of the 4 corners are all attached with the same screws. Make sure all my blocks are in place. Now, you might be wondering, why am I screwing from the inside and not just from the outside? That's purely aesthetical. We used the nail gun to attach all of these nice 45-degree angle boards next to each other. Can't really see those nails, so in the end, it's a more beautiful product if you don't see where everything is attached. Now you can see the 2 segments are connected together, middle and outer segment. This is also where the bottom will be connected. So we're basically gonna turn this guy around and repeat the same thing we did just now using these blocks. Make sure the gap is nice and straight on the top and on each side. All right, cool. So now we can see everything is assembled, almost everything it is. We just still need to put the bottom and then everything should be done. Now to assemble the bottom part is quite easy. You have these 3 components and you just place them neatly next to each other. Now you can kind of play with the pattern. It's a little bit smaller than the other one. So you could say that maybe you could kind of go with this pattern where you have this guy in the center I think that looks pretty nice. What would you say? So I'm choosing to use screws in this model because this is gonna be a planter after all. So this means that this guy will be the bottom. But if you prefer to use this design as a table, then I would opt to basically attach these guys with a nail gun so you can't see the screws on top. All right, guys, well, that brings an end to this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I also hope you feel inspired to choose Ekoduro as your next material when creating your next project. Remember, when you're choosing Ekoduro, you're not just creating beautiful products, but you're also choosing a sustainable material, which helps our environment a lot. So, I hope to see you in the next episode. Happy building!